I thought House of the Dragon was really, really good. With one season under its belt and so many characters to introduce, I don't think it was like peak Game of Thrones, when Game of Thrones was
Mhm.
airing, like those first couple seasons. I don't think it was that, but I think it was way closer than I expected. And I think it has the potential to be that with another good season. One of the big differences with this story is that it's actually a completed story. It's not as long either, obviously. It's like 40 pages in the middle of a Wikipedia history of Westeros,
Yeah.
but it's a completed story. So all the
Yep.
stuff is there. They know exactly where they're going. That you're not going to have what happened in Game of Thrones, which they run out of, well, not necessarily run out of all the source material they use, but the stuff that they wanted to use. And then they're forced to create their own things. And that did not go well for Dan and Dave at all. I think it's been a lot different with House of the Dragon.
My main problem with it is there was a few key moments that they added that was not in the books. Again, if when you steer from the source material, it will be messed up. Like they kept trying to make points about women and my body, my choice kind of stuff, and it really didn't fit. And the silly part where the princess just burst through the dragon pit out of nowhere and then just flew away without doing anything. It's moments like that that brought down my score. But if they stick to what I'm hoping this next season is from the trailer we saw, just a whole bunch of battles and intrigue and a very, very disturbing
The
death.
first episode is going to be crazy. Like
Yes.
like that's Blood and Cheese is gonna be in the first episode. I totally agree with Rhaenys coming through the dragon pit. That was probably, I think, the biggest mistake they made of the entire season was
Mhm.
doing that, and I think it was just to add some shock when I think you could have done a lot of other things to do that. I don't think you need to do that because that was it was so dumb for her to then make
Yeah.
that decision to not end everything right there. They wanted some dramatic scene. I think that was a big mistake. One of the interesting things about Fire and Blood, the book, is that it's a history of Westeros, right? It's a Cliff Notes version of a history of Westeros, but specifically this version of the tale is cobbled together with three different unreliable narrators who all have their different opinions on what happened and their own reasons to tell their side of the story. So even that in and of itself isn't really like the true telling, right? It's just kind of the history's best guess of what the true telling is, which
Mhm.
is what does give them a little freedom to kind of make some, some surprises. Oh, it happened like this. Oh, it happened like that. And we finally got to see exactly what happened with Vagar at the end, that final episode. So I'm really looking forward to what they do with season two. I really enjoyed season one. I would probably give that, if I was like to put a number on the series as a whole, it'd probably be like an 8 or something out of
Yeah.
10. You know what I mean? I really, really liked it. And I think the second season, now that they've put all these chess pieces out in play, there's going to be a
Mhm.
lot more action in the second season. So it's going to be interesting to see.
I thought that, for example, Damon, he was so badass, and that 3rd episode wasn't that the one where he just goes like berserker on that
Yeah.
island?
Yeah,
I
that was the one at the Stepstones. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, it really was good. You said an 8, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, but there's no reason why the second one won't be a 10 out of 10, and hopefully, again, they'll just throw out, "Hey, we already get it. It sucked to be a woman back then. Okay, fine. Yes, we know."
Here's the thing that I look at with that. This is literally a story about two, right, women that are kind of seizing power, right? When you look at
Mhm.
the Greens and you look at the Blacks. This is not a story that's going to end well when the women seize power. This is a story that's going to end in disaster, in war, in tragedy, and the people completely rejecting both sides. Spoiler alert. So, for all the people that are cheering on Rhaenyra Targaryen, they think that you're going to get some story about like female empowerment, how great it's going to be. You're going to be in for a rude awakening
Oh.
because you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. It's like, this is what happens, you get a bunch of women in charge of the throne. It's like,
Yeah, and that's what we're getting. We're getting this kind of proxy war between Allison and Rhaenyra. They're about to find out that all this power, all this responsibility might not be as easy to wield as they thought it was. Maybe they want to stick to the bedroom. That's what they're
exactly.
about to find out.
Well, I always say the biggest mistake that King Viserys made was making her the heir no matter what. It's like, dude, primogenitor, it was a thing. changed in 2013. Okay, that's how long it took us in the real world. All right, and it's still a little bit iffy. But then he went and had more kids. It's like, you dumbass. Of course, there was going to be a civil war or a question of the throne of who was going to rule. There was a reason why it was the male line.
That's a character that they made a lot of changes with was Viserys, and I think those were done really well. Like, they fleshed him out so well, and they make him at one point, like, he is the reason why so much of this has happened because he
Mhm.
is, by their type of standards, a kind of weak leader who's, like, unwilling to get in conflict, who wants everything to be happy, who wants no one to be fighting, but at the end of the day, his inability to be tough when he really had to be is kind of what led to the downfall of this entire, line. So you feel so much compassion and sympathy for him, at the same time recognizing that so much of it's because he's failed.
Well, and not only did Viserys's mistaken love for his daughter do all that, it also brought the end of the dragons. The dragons, they all got smaller and they all, they all died out. I mean, dude,
Yeah, I think that most people, most fans of Song of Ice and Fire are pretty resigned to the fact that that story is never actually going to be completed by George at this point. And through this show and potentially Aegon's Conquest show that's in development and whatever, we might actually get some answers to questions that we've theorized or had for a long time in terms of what happened to the dragons, like a lot of stuff like that.